I used to work the night shift at a 24-hour Walmart just off Route 16 in northern Missouri. It's one of those superstores wide enough to feel like a small town and just as dead after 2 a.m. People always assume the weirdos come out at night. They're right. But the worst part isn't the customers. It's the store itself. Let me explain. When I started, I was broke, tired, and needed something to pay rent. They gave me graveyard stalker duties. Midnight to 8 a.m. Easy money, they said. No rush, no crowd, just shelves and silence. The first few nights were normal. Fluorescent lights, distant hum of refrigerators, the occasional lost soul buying Pop-Tarts and lighter fluid at 3 a.m. Then I got assigned to aisles 30 to 40. That's where it started. My supervisor, a heavy-set guy named Jim, handed me a cart and a scanner. "Avoid aisle 34, he muttered, barely meeting my eye. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. "Why?" He paused. "Because there is no aisle 30. I raised an eyebrow. "You just said 30 to 40. "There is no aisle 34, he repeated, slower this time, then walked off like we never spoke. Of course I checked. Walmart is laid out like a grid. Aisle 30 is camping gear. Aisle 31 is pet supplies. Aisle 32, storage bins. Aisle 33, holiday clearance. Then comes aisle 35. I thought maybe they renumbered things and skipped a number like some hotels skip floor 13. But there was space, a physical gap between 33 and 35. Like something should be there. A stretch of wall too wide, too plain. No door, no stock tags, just emptiness. Except some nights when I passed that spot, I'd feel cold air leaking out, or hear something faint, like whispering behind the drywall. Once, I thought I saw movement, just a flicker, a shadow ducking out of view. I mentioned it to a coworker named Mia. She was the only other night shifter who wasn't completely dead inside. "Oh, you noticed it, huh?" she said, not surprised. "What is it?" She looked around to make sure no one else was nearby. "There used to be an aisle there, long time ago, before they rebuilt part of the store." "What happened?" "No one knows. Corporate deleted all records. People just say, weird stuff happened. Customers walking in and never coming out. One guy swears he saw himself in there." "Like a mirror?" "No, like a version of himself stocking shelves, only with the wrong face. Same eyes, though." She didn't smile when she said it. That night, I watched that wall. 3:33 a.m. Yeah, I know. I swear it. Shifted. One moment it was just wall. Then it was a door. A metal one. No handle, no label, just a rectangle in the wall like a walk-in freezer. It stood there, like it had always been there. I blinked and it was gone. I thought I was losing it, until I found a box on my cart that didn't belong. Plain cardboard. No SKU, no label. Just a sticky note that said, "Restock, aisle 34. I showed it to Jim the next morning. His face went pale. "Where did you find this?" "It was on my cart." He looked around, leaned in. "Throw it out. Don't open it. Don't talk about this again." I didn't throw it out. I opened it. Inside, a single roll of security tape, the kind we use to seal off damaged aisles. But it was already cut into lengths, and each strip had the same phrase scrawled in marker: "Do not let it see you twice." That night, aisle 34 was there. No, seriously, aisle 34 was there. Like a glitch patched itself. Between 30 and 35, a long, dimly lit corridor lined with shelves, but the lights flickered, and the floor looked wrong. Like old tile from the 80s, covered in dust and faded stains. I stood at the edge for a long time. Then I stepped in. It was silent. No music, no humming, no fluorescent buzz. Shelves stocked with things I couldn't recognize. Cans with no labels. Boxes marked with symbols instead of words. Dolls with faces scratched off. I heard a voice, low and papery. "You're not supposed to be here." I turned. No one, just shadows. Then I heard footsteps. Not mine. Heavier. Like boots dragging. I backed out of the aisle, and when I turned around, the exit was gone. I don't remember how long I was in there. Time didn't work right. I wandered past aisle after aisle of things that shouldn't be. Things that looked like food but breathed, plastic toys that turned their heads when I passed. At some point, I found a mirror, but my reflection wasn't right. It moved after me, smiled when I didn't, and its name tag didn't say Ethan. It said manager, and it winked. Eventually, I stumbled back into the regular store, out of breath, shaking, sweating like I'd run a marathon. Jim found me near the garden section. I tried to explain. He just shook his head. You went in, didn't you? I nodded. He sighed, deep and tired. We can't fire you. Store won't allow it. Once you've seen it, you belong to it. I didn't come back the next night, but the next night came to me. The door appeared in my apartment wall, right between the fridge and the pantry. Same metal rectangle, no handle. I moved out the same night. Started staying with Mia. She'd been through it too. That's why she never went near that space anymore. She told me the truth. That Walmart wasn't just a store. It was a machine. A massive, blinking thing. Half business, half ritual. Built on top of something old. Something that feeds on repetition. On routine. On faces. And that aisle 34 wasn't an accident. It was a correction. I quit the job. Got a new one, daylight only. But sometimes in parking lots or bus windows, I catch a glimpse of something. Me. Not me, but someone with my face wearing the vest. Name tag, Ethan. Smiling. One of us is still working, and I'm not sure which one. Never go into aisle 34. If you see it, pretend you didn't. If you hear it calling, run. And whatever you do, don't let it see you twice. Orientation. I tried to burn the name tag. I really did. Lit it in the sink, watched it curl and blacken. But when I woke up the next morning, it was back on the counter, clean, unscorched. It said, "Welcome back, Ethan. Orientation, 3 o'clock a.m." I didn't plan on going, but my body did. At 2:47 a.m., I woke up already dressed, and at 2:59, I was already in the parking lot. This wasn't my Walmart. I'd never seen this building before. Bigger, taller. The parking lot was empty, but every single overhead light buzzed like a beehive. And the doors opened for me. The interior wasn't a store. It looked more like a cathedral made of retail. Towering aisles that disappeared into fog, sale signs that hung like stained glass, and intercom speakers that whispered instead of spoke. I walked in, not because I wanted to, because I was expected. In the center of the store was a break room. Familiar. Coffee stains, flickering vending machine, a bulletin board with old safety posters. But on the table was a stack of VHS tapes, each labeled Orientation, Floor 34, Breaking Cycle Behavior. If you see yourself, file a report. Reality is not a valid excuse. I sat. The TV turned on by itself. A man in a Walmart vest appeared, bald, smiling too wide. His face shifted sometimes, like tape skipping. He spoke in a soothing voice. Welcome to your new shift. Time is no longer linear. Safety is a myth. Remember, the shelves must remain stocked. The loop must remain closed. You are now part of something greater. Behind him, something moved on the ceiling, crawling between lights. Then the screen went black. Aisle 34 is ready for you. The door behind me opened. Cold wind. I tried to run. My legs moved the other way. Aisle 34 wasn't just a place. It was a role, a layer under the store, a second skin, somewhere between physical space and corporate memory. I stepped in. The lights buzzed in reverse, like electricity breathing backwards. Shelves were endless now, stacked with impossible things. Milk that expired in 1981, cans labeled flesh, unsorted, VHS tapes of moments I hadn't lived yet. And between it all, people stocking shelves. People that looked like me, some with faces, some without. One of them turned. He had my eyes, my hands, my exact uniform. But his name tag read Ethan Prime. He smiled. Don't worry, you're just Inventory Echo 12. You'll get used to it. He handed me a scanner. It was warm, beating like a small heart. Scan yourself, he said. I didn't. I ran. There's no exit. Not anymore. This place has no walls, just aisles forever. I've seen Mia's face, Jim's, even customers from years ago, still pushing carts, still looping the same 10 feet. Reality was a store. This is what's behind the price tags, behind the cheerful music and rollback signs. Something old, hungry, something that wears uniforms and sells air fresheners. If you're reading this, it means the signal leaked. Maybe you're close to a store. Maybe you noticed the aisle number skip. Maybe you work the night shift. Don't clock in. Don't wear the vest. And whatever you do, never scan yourself. Because once the system has your barcode, you're on the shelf. I worked at Walmart for 3 years before I found out about the door behind the pharmacy freezer. They don't tell new hires about it. You'd only ever notice it if you close the cooler from the inside, which, by the way, we're trained not to do. They even call it a Class 2 violation, closing a walk-in from the inside. One night I was restocking cold meds. I dropped my scanner. It slid under the shelving inside the cooler. When I bent down to grab it, I saw a draft, felt cold air coming from behind the shelf. I pried it aside and found it. A steel door with a keypad. No label, no instructions, just a code pad and a faint hum from behind it. That night, I couldn't sleep. A few weeks later, corporate came for an overnight clean sweep. Big guys in suits and rubber gloves. Didn't talk to anyone, just went into that back area. The next morning, we were told aisle 18 was out of service. What was aisle 18? Laundry detergent. But they replaced the entire row with TVs overnight. No one asked questions, except me. I watched security footage when I was alone in the manager's office, pulled from the back hallway cam. At 2:47 a.m., one of the corporate guys opened the steel door. I could only see it for a moment before static filled the screen. But what I saw didn't make sense. The floor behind the door didn't match the store. It was concrete, damp, lit with orange industrial lights, and something crawled by on the floor. Not a person, not an animal, something between. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me. I asked the overnight janitor, Javier, what was back there. He stared at me, dead silent for almost a full minute, then said, "You ever see a lobster molt?" "What?" "When it outgrows its shell," he said, still staring, "it crawls out of itself, leaves behind something that looks alive but isn't. That door leads to what we shed." He quit that night. I got the code from Jim, the night manager. He was drunk during closing. Told me everything was just numbers anyway. Code 61661. I waited for a quiet Tuesday night. Everyone was gone by 3:12 a.m. I stood in front of the steel door, heart pounding, entered the code. Beep, it opened. Subfloor 6A isn't like anything in the blueprints. It's cold, wet, smells like bleach and meat. Concrete walls stretch far beyond what the store should contain. I walked for what felt like half a mile past flickering lights and humming generators. Then I found the observation room. Rows of monitors. Most of them showed normal parts of the store. Aisles, break rooms, bathrooms, but a few showed copies. Twisted, pulsing versions of aisles. As if grown, not built. Meat lining the shelves. Boxes that breathed. Fluorescent lights pulsing like arteries. One screen showed me standing in front of the monitors, but I wasn't looking at the camera. I was staring directly at myself. Then it smiled. I panicked and ran further in, past an open door labeled Containment 3B, Recalled Staff. Inside, uniforms folded neatly on hooks, all with my name. Each vest had a tag. Employee Ethan M. Retired deep storage. I kept walking. That's when I heard it. The PA system crackled, but not from the speakers. It was coming from the walls. Restock cycle engaged. Please return all growths to alignment. Something squelched behind me. I turned just in time to see a figure crawling along the ceiling. It looked like a person, but wrong. Too smooth. Skin stretched over a plastic frame. No eyes, just a barcode burned into its face. It hissed and dropped down behind me. I ran, I don't know how I got out. I just remember hitting the floor behind the pharmacy shelf, door slamming shut behind me. I was covered in black fluid, hands shaking. My phone was gone, but there was something in my pocket, a folded piece of paper, stained and torn. It read, "Once you've seen subfloor 6A, you are part of subfloor 6A. The next morning, my schedule was changed. No more front store. Now I was listed under a new department, biostructure, alignment, and deep rotation. No one explained what it meant. My manager acted like it was normal, said I'd get special training, that it was corporate approved. I went home, locked my doors, slept with a knife under my pillow. It didn't matter. They came anyway. At 3:00 a.m., my walls began to hum. The lights turned blue. The doorknob melted into the shape of a scanner, and a voice came through the vents. "Restock cycle engaged. Begin alignment." I screamed, punched the wall, ran out of the apartment. But in the hallway, everything had changed. The walls were lined with aisles. Every door was labeled as a product section. Mine? Home and Skin Essentials. I was inside it now. I don't know how long it's been. Time here doesn't work right. Sometimes I wake up restocking shelves that never stay full. Sometimes I find versions of myself with arms too long, mouths stitched closed, whispering about inventory errors. Sometimes I dream of a break room where the coffee machine is bleeding. Other times, I hear Javier mopping in the distance. Still mopping, always mopping. If you work at Walmart and they tell you your role has been reassigned, run. If someone mentions subfloor 6A, don't ask questions. And if you ever find a steel door behind the freezer, don't open it. Because once you see the shelves down there, once you learn what they're really stocking, you become part of the inventory. Forever. I was a floor supervisor at store number 847 in Topeka, Kansas. 4 years in, never missed a shift, never got written up. I ran toys and seasonal stock, kept everything tidy. I was what they call quiet reliable. But that store, it watches you. And sometimes it watches backwards. It started with the security cameras. Each department has a few, aisle cams, checkout cams, backroom cams. Every shift we're supposed to cycle through them during downtime, looking for shelf theft, spills, loitering. But one night I noticed a feed that wasn't assigned to any known aisle. It was labeled simply, Room 191, Live Feed. The image showed a long, windowless hallway, metal walls, dim overhead lights, silence, no movement. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Then someone walked past the camera. It was me. Same vest, same face, same way of walking, but I hadn't moved from my chair. I checked the time code, real time. I rewound the feed. That version of me entered the hallway at a 3:14 a.m., but I had clocked in at 4:00. There was no way. I asked my manager Curtis about room 191. His face went completely blank. "You saw that feed?" he said flatly. "Yeah, why? What is it?" "You don't need to worry about room 191. It's calibration space." "What does that mean?" He didn't answer. He just stood there until I walked away. After that, things changed. My name tag disappeared from the locker room board. The scanner sometimes called me unrecognized asset. The schedule said I was working hours I hadn't been assigned. And room 191 was always live, always showing a version of me, walking slowly deeper into the corridor. Then came the audits. A man in a black polo with no name tag showed up. Didn't talk, just watched. Stood behind us while we stocked. Eventually I cornered him in the back, asked who he was with. He smiled, too wide, and said, "I'm from Mirror Floor. You've been duplicated. We're checking for drift." What the hell does that mean? But he just tapped my scanner. "Don't watch yourself too long, you'll fall behind." That night I watched the feed again. Room 191 had changed. Now there were rows of chairs, like an observation theater. And in the front row, versions of me. 10, maybe 15 of them. All identical. Sitting silently, watching one screen. That screen showed me at the terminal. One of them smiled and waved. I unplugged the monitor. Reported it to corporate. They updated our software the next day, scrubbed the feed, removed the Room 191 label. But the hallway came back, labeled something new. Floor training echo unit. The person on screen was still me. Only now, shown. The hallway had no end. The dream started shortly after. I dreamt I was stuck in the break room, but every time I tried to leave, I'd re-enter it from the other side. My coworkers stared at me without blinking. Coffee machine, blinking, error, identity overflow. I woke up with a new badge clipped to my shirt. Not plastic, metal, engraved Unit 019332, progressing. Then the audio started, not from the cameras, not from the speakers, from the vest. I'd be stalking shelf 9B and hear a voice whisper through the fabric near my chest. Don't fall behind, asset. You're being watched. From inside. I took the vest off, threw it in the trash. Next shift, it was folded neatly on my chair. Smelled like bleach and static. I tried to quit. The portal on the employee app didn't work. The store phone rang forever. The assistant manager said, "You're not scheduled to leave, Tom." My car wouldn't start. My house key stopped working. My name disappeared from the lease. It was like the store had overwritten me. Last week, I saw Room 191 again. Only now, it showed a camera placed directly inside my skull. I was looking at myself from inside, through my eyes, watching me, watching. There was no escape. Doppelnenien. Mirror floor. Room 191. Final log. I stopped sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd wake up somewhere slightly different. Same store, same shelves, but not quite right. The music played backwards. Sale signs offered products that didn't exist. Customers walked in, but never walked out. And always, I was there behind me. Stalking, watching. Last Thursday, I went into the break room and found a plastic envelope with my name printed on it in bold caps. Reintegration, final phase. Inside was a black badge. No photo, no barcode, no name. Just a single word, mirror. The note beneath said, "Report to room 191. Your other self is waiting." I don't remember walking there. The store felt like it moved around me, like it was funneling me into place. Room 191 was no longer on the camera feed. Now it was physically real. A hallway behind the garden center, behind a door that had never been there before. The door wasn't locked. It opened like it had been expecting me. Inside was a theater. Rows of seats, all filled with me, dozens of me, hundreds, some younger, some older, some with bleeding eyes, some twitching, some muttering stock phrases like, "Would you like to sign up for our card today?" On the stage, a mirror, not glass, something darker, moving, breathing, and in the reflection, not me, something like me, made of scanners, stitched uniforms, and name tags etched into bone. It smiled. It spoke without sound, directly into my head. "You have served well, asset UN9332, but your identity has become inefficient. We will now overwrite the redundant loop." I tried to scream. Couldn't. I ran, but the rows of me reached out, grabbing my arms, my face, my voice. One leaned in and whispered, "We all ran. Now we all stalk." The mirror thing stepped out, climbed out, and took my place. I saw myself watching myself, forever folded. And then, blackness, post-incident record, internal summary. Employee ID 019332. Status changed to loop integrated, room 191. Surveillance, stable mirror floor. Asset count, updated, +1. Incident classified as containment breach level, low. Corrective action, reset public-facing personnel data. Resume standard inventory loop. Prepare next candidate for observation phase. Somewhere in a Walmart near you, I'm working again. Smiling, stalking, asking you if you would like to sign up for the store card. But it's not me, it's what they built from watching me. So if you walk down aisle 19 and see someone who looks exactly like a version of you you've forgotten, don't stop. Don't make eye contact. And whatever you do, don't wave, because that's how they know you're ready for duplication.